The United Nations has reported that more than 9,000 civilians, including 500 children, have lost their lives since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24, 2022. The UN's Human Rights Monitoring Mission in Ukraine condemned the cost to civilians as the war in Ukraine reached the 500-day mark and warned that the actual toll is likely to be far higher than the number of officially confirmed deaths. Noel Calhoun, the deputy head of HRMMU, said in a statement that they deplored the horrendous civilian cost of the war in Ukraine and marked another grim milestone in the war that continues to exact a horrific toll on Ukraine's civilians. While this year, the casualty numbers in Ukraine have been lower on average than in 2022, the figure began to climb again in May and June. On June 27th, 13 civilians, including 4 children, lost their lives in a missile attack on Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine. And far from the front line in Ukraine's western city of Lviv, 10 people lost their lives and another 37 were wounded during a missile attack early on Thursday morning that the mayor called the biggest attack on civilian infrastructure since the invasion began. The UN monitoring mission in Ukraine also noted that 3 times as many civilians lost their lives in the last 500 days, compared with the entire previous 8 years of hostilities in eastern Ukraine. Russia regularly bombards Ukraine with air attacks, including indiscriminate artillery and missile fire that have been especially deadly for civilians. Russia has also attacked civilian infrastructure and supply lines, depriving civilians of power and water. On Friday, the US announced that it would provide Ukrainian forces with cluster munitions, which human rights groups have slammed because of the dangers posed to civilians by the use of such weapons. Cluster bombs release large numbers of bomblets across wide areas, and the indiscriminate nature of the explosives presents a major threat to civilians.